Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. My name is Sarah Sutter. I'm an international admissions counselor here at Kent State, and today we're having our graduate Q&A session. So if you have any questions, if you're applying to Kent State or you were recently admitted and you're a graduate student, I'm here to help you out. So I'm very glad to be with you today and to be able to help answer any of your questions. It looks like we do already have several questions in the comments, so I'm going to start going through those. But if anyone has any questions as we go, feel free to put those in the chat. Also, if there's any situation where I'm not able to get to your question today and we run out of time, you can always contact us at intladm@kent.edu. That's the Kent State International Admissions email address. So feel free to contact us if you need anything as well. But I will try to answer as many of your questions today as I can. So let me see here. We already have several questions to choose from. All right, someone is asking what the expected final timeline for releasing admission decisions is. So for graduate students, what happens is that your application is processed by the international admissions team. And then from there, we send it to your appropriate department, and the program faculty members are actually the ones that make the final decision. So if your application says awaiting decision, that means it's already been sent to the program faculty. At that point, I would recommend checking with the program faculty directly to ask them what their admission process is and what their timeline is. It's different for every different department, so I don't have a specific answer that I can give you. But if you need the contact information for your program coordinator, you can look in the program catalog. The web address is listed at the bottom there. If you click on your specific program, it will give you contact information for them. So I just recommend reaching out to your program coordinator, asking how the process works in your department, and then asking if they have an estimated timeline for decisions. All right, we have some new comments coming in. All right. All right, this is a good one. Someone is concerned about the travel ban. They're from Nigeria and they're affected by that. So unfortunately, this is affecting a lot of our students. And obviously, Kent State does have to follow U.S. immigration law. So unfortunately, we're not able to change the situation. But if you are affected by the travel ban, you are not going to be able to get an F1 student visa, unfortunately, which means that you probably will not be able to attend Kent State for your chosen term. The best thing to do in this case, and our recommendation, is to defer your admission. You can defer your admission for up to 1 year, and then that will give you time to monitor the situation, and hopefully the visa situation will have improved by the time that the year comes around. So if you need instructions about that, you can search Kent State Deferral, and we have instructions right on our website. You can do it through the application portal through the admission response form. Okay. Someone is asking if we offer application fee waivers. Unfortunately, we're not offering any waivers now, and we don't have any planned waiver events for the future. So the application fee is $70 US, and it can be paid with a credit or debit card in your application fee. Or I'm sorry, in your application portal, excuse me. Let me see what else we have here. Yeah, lots of questions about when decisions will be released. So again, just contact your program coordinator and see. That's really up on the program faculty once your application has been processed by our office. Someone is asking what email address the official transcripts can be sent to. So that can just be sent to our regular international admissions inbox. So it's intladm@kent.edu. So any important transcripts can be sent to this email address, and then we can add it to your application portal from there. All right. Okay, yeah, lots of people just waiting for decisions. So again, I just recommend following up with your program coordinator. Once your application says awaiting decision, it means it's left our office, and then the program faculty are reviewing it for their admission decision. People are asking about scholarships. That's a great question. So for graduate students, there's no funding available through my office, the Office of Global Education. Most funding for graduate students at Kent State comes in the form of assistantships, and these are managed by each program individually. So again, we would just recommend reaching out to your program coordinator to ask if there's funding available through your department, or if there's assistantships available that you could apply for, and then what their process is. So again, if you're not sure the contact information for your program, you can find that in our program catalog. The web address is listed at the bottom here. You would just click on your appropriate program, and then on the first page, on the overview page, there's information for the program coordinator and how to contact them. Okay, what else do we have? Someone's asking if there's any other funding besides graduate assistantships. So the program assistantships are the most common form of funding. If there's nothing available through your department, you can also check in Handshake. I'll put up the web address here. That's our Kent State student job platform. So if there's any available assistantships that they're opening to everyone and not just students in their department, they will be listed on Handshake. But these are very, very rare. So there may not be anything available when you search, but that is a place you can look. In addition, you could look at the scholarship resources. We have a scholarship portal at Kent State called Scholarship Universe, but these are often limited to U.S. citizens only. So you would make sure to read the recommendations carefully to see if you're eligible. And then in addition, a lot of them are aimed for undergraduate students and not graduate students. But that is a source that you can look and see if there's anything available. Otherwise, we would just recommend searching for external sources of funding. There's generally not a lot of scholarships available for graduate students at Kent State, unfortunately. Okay, someone is asking how they can arrange for accommodation and when. So if you plan to live on campus, you will need to submit a housing application. You can do that right now through the Kent State Housing website. If you just search Kent State Housing, you can find that. And I would recommend submitting that as soon as possible after you get your visa. So once you know you're planning to be here, you've obtained your visa, I recommend submitting that to make sure you get a housing assignment. If you plan to live off campus, you're responsible for finding your own housing. Kent State is not affiliated with any sort of apartment complex or landlord. So you would just search for local housing in the Kent area and then make your own arrangements. We do not recommend signing any housing agreements until after you get to the city of Kent. The reason for this is if there's some reason you can't get here, like there's a family emergency or you can't get your visa, and you've already signed an agreement, you may be liable to pay for that money. You might not be able to get out of the agreement. So we really recommend waiting until you've obtained your visa and you've already gotten here before you sign anything. Okay. Let's see. Someone's asking for specific information about their transcripts. They said they've submitted their undergraduate they've submitted it without submitting their undergraduate degree. If you have already completed your bachelor's degree, please do provide your degree certificate as well. If you don't have that and we see that you've already completed your bachelor's, we will ask you for that. If for some reason you have not finished your bachelor's yet, you're still completing it, then obviously you don't have a degree certificate to submit yet, so that's fine. Again, we have people asking for application fee waivers. So no, I'm not providing an application fee waiver in this session, and we do not have any application fee waiver days planned for the future. So at this point, our recommendation is just to pay your application fee in the application portal. Someone's asking if they're not able to pay the tuition fee per the payment plan. So if you're not able to pay your tuition, unfortunately, your visa might be canceled at some point in the future. That would be, much in the future, but ideally you would need to pay your tuition because that's the reason you're here, is to be a student. Someone's asking about the selection process for assistantships. So again, this is going to depend on your department. Each department has different criteria that they're looking for their assistants. So I would just recommend contacting the program coordinator. The information is in the program catalog, and then the coordinator can ask you kind of what they're looking for and how the process works for them if they have assistantships available. Again, if you're not sure if your department has assistantships, I would just recommend contacting them directly. Those are all managed by the individual departments, so I don't have any information on that other than to recommend to contact your program coordinator. Someone's asking if we have a master's in vision science. I'm not completely sure. I don't remember one, but you can check our complete program catalog at catalog.kent.edu/programs. The web address is there. That will list every program that's available at Kent State, and you can filter it to just some master's programs if that's what you're interested in. Okay. Lots of great questions today, so go ahead and keep them coming. Someone is asking if they have to contact a supervisor before applying to PhD programs. Again, this will vary depending on the department. So again, my recommendation is just to contact the program coordinator and ask how the process works for that department. Some departments would like you to get a program faculty mentor before you apply, and other programs they're assigned afterwards. So it really just depends on how their process works. So just recommend contacting the program coordinator and asking. Someone is asking if there are payment plans for tuition. So yes, there is an option to enroll in a monthly payment plan. There is a small fee to enroll in that, and you do have to specifically elect to enroll in that plan, but then that would divide your tuition payments into monthly payments versus one payment per semester. Someone's asking if they can submit their degree certificate if their transcript is under review. So if your application shows processing review, yes, you can still submit the documents. That means we haven't finished processing your application yet. So you can just upload it as missing document or additional document, and our team will find that. Okay. Any other questions that anyone has? Lots of people just asking about the decision timelines. So again, just contact the program coordinators. I'm not able to say because it really depends for each department. Some review them every few weeks, and others, they only make one decision per year. So it depends. If you're really unsure about if your application is still being considered or what's going on, I would just recommend contacting the program coordinator. So we have a student congratulating us on the R1 designation. Yes, this is very exciting. Kent State recently got the R1 designation in the last few years, and this just shows a strong commitment towards research. And one great thing at Kent State is there are research opportunities for both graduate and undergraduate students. So if you're interested in those, I recommend contacting the program coordinator. All right, let me take this banner down. Someone is asking what non-tuition costs international students pay for. That's a really great question. Most of the time, you would just be paying for things like your food, your housing, books, and then also the health insurance fees. If you're curious about the exact fee breakdown, we have our estimated tuition and expenses available on this website. So you can go to this site and kind of see. This is also the same amount that we recommend for your I-20, so you'll need to show at least this much funding. If you're not living on campus, obviously the housing fee will not be paid to us. That's just an estimate. It'll be paid to whatever your landlord is or your apartment complex. And obviously for food, same thing. If you don't have a meal plan here, that's going to be whatever it is at the local grocery stores, but that's just an estimate to help get you started. Okay. Again, people are asking about the payment plans. So yes, Kent State does have payment plans available for tuition. You do have to enroll in that. There's like a small $50 fee that you have to pay in order to be eligible for that. But then that would break down your payments into monthly payments. If you're interested in that, I recommend looking at the website for the Financial Billing and Enrollment Center, or FBE Center. They handle all of the tuition payments and that kind of thing. So that website has more information about it. Someone's asking when decisions will be made for external scholarships or Scholarship Universe. So again, these are all managed by different departments. I'm not sure, unfortunately, since it's not handled by my office. So I just recommend contacting whatever organization or whatever office is funding the scholarship and asking what their process looks like. Again, questions about application fee waivers. So no, I am not providing any application fee waivers during this session. And then Kent State does not have any planned application fee waiver days or events for international students going forward. So at this point, we just recommend paying your application fee in the application portal. Someone is asking how they apply for a GA position. So again, I recommend contacting your program coordinator for this. It's going to be different in each department. Some departments may not have assistantships. Other ones have a specific application process. So your coordinator will be the person who can answer this question. Someone is asking for off-campus housing if there are apartments where you can stay alone. So yes, you can definitely get an apartment by yourself. If you plan to live on your own, please note this will generally be more expensive than if you live with a roommate, since you're handling all of the costs by yourself rather than sharing them. But there are opportunities available. You would just need to look for local housing in Kent. And look for things with like one bedroom or a studio apartment or something like that. Those generally indicate it would just be you. Someone's asking if the GRE or GMAT can be waived. For this, you would need to contact the program coordinator again. Only the program faculty can offer GRE or GMAT waivers. So if they grant you a waiver after you contact them, they will contact our office and let us know to waive that from your application. But that is something only the program faculty can authorize. So just contact your coordinator. Someone said they're having difficulties contacting the coordinators. I do apologize. I know they can get a little bit overwhelmed sometimes during the semester if they're getting a lot of inquiries. So if you're really having a hard time, I recommend trying calling. There's usually a phone number listed in the catalog as well, or seeing if you can find a general email address for the department rather than that individual person. That might help you get a response a little more quickly. Someone is asking, when is the earliest you can arrive? So if you're on an F1 visa, you're allowed to arrive up to 30 days before the program start date. The program start date is our orientation date. This year, our international student orientation is on August 19th. So you can arrive towards the end of July if you want to. If you plan to live on campus and you do plan to arrive early, like in July sometime, you will need to apply for early housing if you plan to stay here. There is a small fee for early housing, but I recommend contacting our housing team. It's housing@kent.edu. They can see if early housing is available for you and help you get settled here once you arrive. If you plan to live off campus and you're not able to move into your apartment right away, you'll need to stay in a hotel or other local accommodation. You can't do early housing at Kent State unless you plan to live here, unfortunately. Someone is asking when you pay the tuition fee. So that depends on when you register for classes. If you register before August 2nd, then the first payment is due on August 2nd. If you register after August 2nd, the payment is not due until early September. I forget the exact date. So classes will have already started. So please keep in mind, if you plan to register early, that you may have to pay tuition before you get here. The first payment would be August 2nd. But if you wait to register until after that date, it's not until September. Also, if you register for classes and can't get here for some reason, make sure to drop your classes. If you do not drop them, you will be charged for them. So please be careful when you're registering to keep in mind that you will need to drop these if you can't get here. This is one of the reasons we recommend waiting until you have your visa to register for classes. Someone is asking what should they do after admission so they can get their visa. So you should have received an email that listed the admitted student checklist. That's a really good resource, and it lists all of the steps you need in order to get here. But the first and most important thing is to log into your Flashline account. Flashline is Kent State student portal, and you need to log in there because you'll be doing all of the important tasks through Flashline, like paying your bill, registering for classes, anything like that. The other reason why you need to log into Flashline is you will not receive an invitation for our ISSS immigration portal until you have logged into Flashline. So a few days after you set up your Flashline account, you'll get an invitation for that immigration portal, and it's the same login information as Flashline. And then you can use that immigration portal to get your I-20 document or your DS 2019 document. So really, really important when you get your Flashline email after admission that you definitely set up your Flashline account. Okay. Someone is asking if they can defer again. I'm not quite sure what you mean by exceeded deadline, but you have 1 year to defer. So for example, if you were admitted for fall 2026, you can defer to fall 2027. You're not able to defer again after that time. So you would not be able to defer to fall 2028, for example. If you've already exceeded that 1 year limit, you will need to complete and submit a new application, unfortunately, and then go through the admission process again. Our admission decisions are only valid for 1 year. Someone is asking if the fees on the website are paid per semester or per year. So the estimated fees on the website are for 1 year of tuition and expenses. Your exact tuition amount will be calculated when you register for classes, and then you pay it by semester. So it will generally only be about half of what's shown on there because that's showing an entire year's worth. And the amount on the website is the minimum amount to get the I-20 as well. Someone is asking how to submit official transcripts. So that's a great question. When you're applying to Kent State, we accept scans of your official documents, so you can just scan and upload them in the application portal. But after students are admitted and they plan to come here, they do need to submit their official transcripts. So most international students just bring their official paper documents to our office after they arrive. We can verify them that way. Please make sure to bring all of your transcripts, mark sheets, degree certificates, anything that you needed to apply with. You can just bring that to us and we'll scan and verify them. If you do not have official paper documents with you, you can ask your university to mail or email your official transcripts to us at that time. But you don't need to worry about it until after you arrive here and begin your studies. Within the first few weeks of studies, we generally want those documents. So there's no rush, but we will need them eventually. And if you plan to come here, just make sure you remember to pack them with you if you have the paper documents. Okay. Someone is asking if they get a GA position if they have to fill a financial affidavit document. So generally how that works is you would provide the assistantship letter to our I-20 team as part of your financial documents, and then they would subtract that amount from whatever you needed to show. If it's a full assistantship, then obviously all of your tuition would be waived out, but you would need to provide that GA offer letter to our I-20 team as part of your financial documents. Okay. Again, lots of people asking about funding decisions. So if you have questions about funding or assistantship decisions, you would need to contact your program coordinator since that's handled at the program level. So again, if you're not sure how to contact your coordinator, you can go to the program catalog listed on the website here, and then look up your program. And if you click on it, it will show you the contact information for your coordinator. All right. Okay, someone is asking why I keep referring you to program coordinators. Great question. That's because a lot of these decisions are handled at the program level. I don't have answers for every single program at Kent State. There's a lot of different programs, and each program handles funding and assistantships very differently. So it's important you talk to that department because they know best what their financial situation is, how many assistantships they have available, and what process they would like to follow. So that's not something that I have any input in. It's not something that I make decisions for. So it's best if you talk to the faculty who are actually setting up these processes and making these decisions in order to get the answers that you need. Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Someone's asking if opting for the payment plan will affect your visa. Again, the visa decisions are made by the consular officers, so I can't really say for sure what will or will not affect your visa since those are not decisions that I make. But as far as I know, that should not have any impact on your visa admission. Someone is asking if undergraduate students are also allowed to use the Handshake platform. Yes, all students can use the Handshake platform to look for on-campus jobs. International students on F1 visas have the opportunity to work up to 20 hours per week during the academic term on campus. If there's no classes in session like it's summer or a break, you can work up to 28 hours per week. But Handshake is our primary job platform, and that is the best place to look for jobs there. Okay, any other questions? Someone asking what the timeline is for GA decisions. Again, that really depends on how the department decides to do this. So I know it's frustrating, but you will need to contact the program faculty for this. This is not anything that our office manages or has to do with. Okay, does anyone have any remaining questions here? We have about 5 more minutes. So if you have any questions left, please feel free to drop those in the chat. Someone is asking what if the Handshake job advertises work outside campus? Most jobs should be on campus. That's what Handshake is designed for. But unfortunately, students on an F1 visa are not able to work off campus. So you will need to make sure that the job is held at the Kent campus for Kent State University if you plan to attend here. But generally, it should mostly be on-campus jobs on Handshake. Any other questions? Okay, it looks like it's slowing down. So for those of you that don't have an admission decision yet, please just know that our international admissions team is working as quickly as possible to process your applications. We did get a lot of applications over the last few months, and it created a bit of a backlog. So I do apologize for the delay, but we are trying our best to get the decisions for you that you need. So if your application says processing review, that means it's still with the International Admissions Office. If it says awaiting decision, that means it's been sent to the program faculty, and then we're waiting for them to review it to have an admission decision. Someone's asking if there's scholarships in the ASL department. I recommend, again, contacting the program coordinator to ask if there's anything there. And then also you can check on Scholarship Universe to see if there's anything available. Any other questions? Someone's asking if admission is in progress. So I have been seeing a lot of coordinators release admission decisions. So hopefully if your application says awaiting decision, you will get a decision soon. But again, I recommend contacting the program coordinator to ask what their timeline looks like. Someone's asking about conditional admission. So if you do not meet the program English minimums, some programs do offer conditional admission, but not every program does. Especially at the graduate level, some programs may not offer that. So if you're not sure if your program has conditional admission or not, you can email us. Our email address is intladm@kent.edu. And we can let you know. But if you already received a decision on your application that you're ineligible, that means that your program does not offer conditional admission, unfortunately. If your program does offer conditional admission, you will automatically be considered for that when you apply. Okay. Someone is asking if they need to provide funding for the dependents. Yes, I do believe you need to provide separate funding for each of the dependents. But if you have questions about that, I recommend emailing our I-20 team. It's i20@kent.edu. They handle the issuance of all the I-20s and immigration documents, and they look at all of the funding documents. So that would be the team to contact if you have questions about that. Okay. Again, questions about application fee waivers. We're not offering any application fee waivers during this session, and Kent State does not have any planned free application days or application fee waiver days that I know of for the future. So I just recommend paying the application fee in the application portal if you plan to apply. Someone is asking if it's possible to get funding after being enrolled. So generally, the departments, if they have assistantships, they make new decisions every year about the assistants and who they'll be. So it might be possible to get an assistantship after you already get here. But again, that would be a question for your program coordinator to ask how it works within your department. And then someone is asking how soon you can get the I-20 after submitting your documents. So after everything is submitted in the immigration portal, the ISSS portal, typically it takes about 1 to 2 weeks to get your I-20 document. We ask that you do not submit multiple requests because that just slows us down. We have to figure out which ones are duplicates and figure out who's already submitted a request. So we just ask that you wait after those have been submitted, and then our team will contact you if there's something wrong. And if nothing's wrong, you'll get a notification at your Kent State email address that the documents are ready for download. All right. Last question here. Someone is asking if there's a deadline for admitting students, and if yes, when that is. So for graduate students, each program makes its own deadlines. So I recommend checking in the program catalog. If you go to the catalog here, click on your program and then click admissions at the top, it will list the admission requirements and the deadlines for your program. So if your program has a specific deadline, it will be listed there. But our office will continue processing applications unless the departments tell us to stop. So we will continue doing everything. If you're not able to be considered for this year, we can also move the application to the next available term at your request. You can just send us an email. So unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. I have to log off here, but if there's any questions we weren't able to get to, please feel free to email us at intladm@kent.edu. That's the International Admissions email address, and we'll be happy to help you with your situation. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was great to be able to meet all of you and to be able to help you out as best I could. I hope to welcome all of you to Kent State in the future. Have a great day. Bye.